Okay, so why wasn't there a show yesterday? I couldn't do the show yesterday because I had an optometrist appointment. Had to get my eyes checked out. And then I was going to record the episode last night, but by the time it was already 7:30, 8 p.m., I thought, no, it's already the end of the day. You know what? You miss a show, not the end of the world. So sorry about that. If this is something, you know, it's part of your life. You're obviously enjoying this. If you're listening now, look, I think I've been pretty consistent since I came back. I did it. My first show was the 6th of May, and yes, I was bad last week. I missed Friday, and then Bernice, she confuses me because on the one hand, she doesn't want me to do the podcast, but then she nags me. Last night, she's saying to me, "You need to do your podcast." So it's kind of weird. And then this morning, while I'm having breakfast, she sits down with me, giving me ideas for today's episode because she watches CNN religiously. So there's all these international stories that I haven't really followed. And then Bernice doesn't follow stories in South Africa. So it's a good combination. But again, mixed messages. So yes, why didn't I just make an appointment with the optometrist in the afternoon? You may ask. Well, I can't. When you run your own little business, you just can't. So I made it for 8:15 in the morning. This appointment I've been waiting for weeks and weeks. I know. Maybe I'm a bit obsessive about my eyes, about getting my eyes tested. Um, Optometrists are a dime a dozen. There are so many optometrists. If my daughter tells me she wants to be an optometrist one day, I'll say to her, "Whoa, there are so many optometrists," and they're not all the same. That's the thing. They're not all the same. So I've got this terrible neurosis. I'm a bit neurotic about my eyes. I'm neurotic, worrying that they're not going to get the right prescription for my glasses. So I went to an optometrist about 2 years ago, and I just felt that when she was testing my eyes, she was too quick, and she seemed impatient. I like an optometrist to is this better? Is this worse? Is this better? And over again, and be patient with me. I want to have that feeling that you're being thorough and slow and patient. And it's probably all psychological. So I was never happy with the prescription that I got from 2 years ago, and I don't even wear those glasses. The glasses that I'm wearing now are from 4 years ago, which I trust them better because that optometrist was very thorough. I had to change optometrists. I had to. Because I was going to this guy. I like him very much. He's a very good optometrist. But then that's the problem. We created this relationship, and I wouldn't call it a relationship, but like a familiarity. So this is the situation. So my one friend, he found a Chinese website where you send your prescription to the Chinese website. And let me find the website. Tenderglasses.com. Tender, T-E-N-D as in tend, A glasses. Tenderglasses.com. You send your prescription and they'll send you the glasses. $20, $30. You know how cheap that is. So I didn't want to, so I'm used to buying glasses from this guy. And I just didn't have the chutzpah. I felt awkward to then say to him, no, I'm not getting glasses from you. I just want the prescription. In other words, you're so damn expensive. I'm going to go to this Chinese website. I felt awkward. I better move on. I better go to somebody else that I don't really know. There's no connection. We just met once before. Took Alexa, my daughter, to this optometrist. She was fantastic. Very thorough, very whatever. I did a bit of shopping around. Yes, she's more than double the price or double the price of other optometrists. But I thought to myself, I'm saving a fortune on the glasses. It's worth it. And you know what? No, I went to her yesterday morning Couldn't get an appointment for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I had to settle. I had to do the 8:15. Fantastic. Patient, thorough, professional. She took her time. It was brilliant. And then at the end, what did she say? Oh, well, it was perfect because she worded, I'm not so sure that you need a new prescription. So that was my moment. I said to her, no, well, it's okay because I'm ordering from this Chinese website and it's like $20, $30. And I've got to hand it to her. Diplomatic. She didn't blink an eyelid. I didn't get this feeling that I didn't see her shoulders sink. Oh, what a fucking schnorrer. How can I make a living with these schnorrers? They don't want to buy glasses from me. What the hell? Why did I become an optometrist? No! She took it in her stride. In fact, she handled it so well, you would think that every second patient of hers or client was like me. And she was like Meryl Streep. She was like an actress. Oh, that's very interesting, yada, yada, yada. But then she was professional. She gave me good advice, but she was diplomatic. So I need bifocals or varifocals, where it's like astigmatism on the top, short-sightedness at the bottom. She says, I don't know how they can get the centering correct if they're doing it in China. Like, in other words, I'm not physically there. So I look at her, I say, you know what, for $20 or $30, it's worth a chance. Yeah, you know what, she agreed with me. But I could see she was, what's the word I'm looking for? I could see she was doubtful of what I'm about to do. But you know what? I'll give it a shot. So I'll report back to you. I'm going to order them either today or tomorrow. Takes 3 weeks to come back. Why don't you give it a go? Tenderglasses.com. I'm not a free plug. I'm not getting paid for this. This is not a sponsorship thing. This episode is not sponsored by Tender Glasses. Although maybe it should be. Are you also like, I'm obsessive about getting the right prescription for my eyes. I got this fear, I got this neurosis that I'm going to have the wrong prescription. And as I said to you, I've got this pair of glasses that I got 2 years ago that I don't wear because I got this fear that the prescription is wrong. So I know it's not normal. I'm full of neurosis and things. And maybe this is a bit premature to talk about, but while I'm on the topic of health, I've got to share something with you. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, but maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I'm a bit concerned. I noticed a bit of blood in my stool. After you've made a number 2 bowel movement, always look in the bowl. Always look in the bowl. See how your poo looks. Saw a bit of blood. Redness. Could be nothing. Or could be rectal cancer. Who knows? So I'm busy going for a run last night, and I'm thinking to myself, what do you tell? Do I tell my wife straight away? Do I tell her, or do I just leave it and go to the doctor? I need to have a colonoscopy. I need to go to a gastroenterologist. Need to get a colonoscopy. So while I'm running, I'm thinking to myself, if I tell Bernice about it, she's going to make such a fuss. She thinks she's a doctor. She is going to want to look up my ass herself. Literally. Like, she doesn't understand that you need to be a gastroenterologist. You need to be sedated, general anesthetic. You need to, with the camera, up the Touchas. She doesn't really, if she's going to just look up my ass, what diagnosis is she going to make? Really? So true's got her. So I decide, okay, I'll tell her. Because I don't want her to get angry. Why didn't you tell me? True's God, she wanted to look up my ass last night. She really wanted to look up my ass. What would she rule out? I suppose a fissure or a hemorrhoid. There's no fissure, there's no hemorrhoid. I did have a fistula that I've spoken about before. Now the fistula has healed. I went to a general surgeon last year or the year before, 2019. He said it's all healed, he can't see anything. But what might have happened, look, I don't know these things either. Maybe the fistula, maybe something's happening deeper. Maybe the fistula has opened up deeper inside. That could be a good scenario, actually, because then at least you know it's not rectal cancer. Shame, whenever I think of rectal cancer, I think of Farrah Fawcett. I mentioned that the other day. She died of rectal cancer. What a way to go. Anyway. So, I mentioned the other day that I haven't been watching much TV, but everyone's been carrying on about Squid Game on Netflix. I finished Squid Game last night. I got a message from this one guy. Thank you for the recommendation of Squid Game. It was surprisingly good. I mean, I thought, what do you mean surprisingly good? Where are you? Squid Game is number 1 on Netflix in South Africa. People are raving about it. What do you mean surprisingly? I do not recommend TV shows that are obscure, that you've never heard of, that no one watches. I'm not going to do that. So my TV recommendations is not original left field recommendations. It's a popular show. Really? Okay. There are 1 or 2 other shows that you may not have heard of that are very good. As I've said before, Amazon Prime have got some really good shows, but their marketing is horrible. It's non-existent. I have to rely on a friend of mine because she's like a TV expert. She recommends shows on Amazon to watch. Otherwise, I wouldn't watch anything. The Boys is one of the top shows on Amazon. I would never have known about it. Excellent show. Loved it. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisels, I knew it was good because I saw it at the Emmys. Top shows. Anyway, let's not carry on and on about it. I don't know if you're aware of this. The top podcast in South Africa is this Mac G show. And I don't watch every episode, but now and again, he'll interview somebody really interesting. He did Gareth Cliff a couple of months ago. That was enjoyable. DJ Fresh. So eventually, I finished the DJ Fresh interview eventually yesterday. Why do I say eventually? Because it was 2 hours. He did an hour part 1, an hour part 2. Riveting stuff. I loved it. One little criticism. There was a lot of in-house. In-house is an expression. A lot of in-house content. They're talking about the radio industry. So for somebody like me, I appreciated it. I understood. I knew the context, and I liked it. But if you're not in radio, they'll mention names of people, and you don't know who they are. I know who they are. They'll say Ravi or Shane or Randall. Or contextualize, brew. But on the other hand, I shouldn't criticize. It's the top podcast in South Africa. His figures are outrageous, Mac G. Outrageous. I think he got 1 million views for one interview he did some time ago. Outrageous, I tell you. Blows them away. Why am I talking about this? Because I don't know this guy, Mac G. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. But I'm just so happy for him. I think I'm just so happy. I don't know what to say. It's such a victory for podcasts. And as Fresh and Mac G pointed out, and Fresh pointed out quite correctly, and he highlighted this issue of radio management in South Africa just not treating people correctly. And that's historical. It's been going on for years. And one of the main reasons is because it's such a small industry. It's such a small industry that they can afford to treat people badly. But having said that, not really. That's not true. They actually can't, but they're so short-sighted and so ignorant and arrogant that they think that they can treat people badly. Because where do you go to? If you're somebody at 5FM, where else are you going to go to? If you're a DJ at 5FM, what are your other options? YFM. Oh, no, but you're not black. Mind you, the YFM presenter is a white guy. What's his name? Sidekick or tap shoe? Ankle tap. I don't know if he still does it. I don't follow radio that closely. Look, it's a small industry. There aren't a lot of places to go. If you're going to be forribbled with somebody and you don't want to talk to somebody in the radio industry, think very carefully about it. Think very carefully about it. Just because Don't have fights. Don't burn bridges because you don't know what you don't know what's going to happen. 5 years later, that person is your manager, or you're in a situation where you're going to have to work with that person. Oh, but you told me to F off 2 years ago. Yeah, anyway. So where was I? So I just think it's a wonderful thing. I just love this whole concept of hugely successful podcasts because the radio industry needs to get their butts kicked. They need to catch a wake up, and they just don't get it. They're aware of podcasts and they see the competition of podcasts, but they haven't really grasped how to compete with podcasts. Their answer is to do podcasts as well. Doesn't really work that well. To a degree it does, but then to a larger degree it doesn't. Rather do radio correctly. Radio is one medium, podcast is another medium. In terms of audience, in terms of lifestyle, I won't get too technical, but do radio correctly. And then you can combat podcasts to a degree. Anyway, not going to get all too involved in it. Not going to get all technical. What I've learned it's taken 20 years. Damon, nobody cares. I go into my radio rants and I talk about radio and this and that. I've come to the right realization, Damon, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And what helped me along the way, thank you Gareth Cliff and Leanne Mole on their show on Cliff Central. Now they're in the industry and they pointed out how they weren't interested in what I was saying about radio. So if they're not interested, then true's Bob, you're not interested. It's all about what's the word I'm looking for? Introspection, self-reflection, understanding yourself and looking at yourself and just looking at how the world sees you and trying to improve and, I don't know, be aware, self-awareness. That's what it's all about. And granted, I'll never get it 100% correct. I'll never get it correct 100%, but it's a process. You got to, it is a process. So it's quite an interesting thing. I'm talking about. I mentioned Mac G's show. I mentioned Gareth Cliff Central. Now here is the thing. Now years ago, when I was on radio, it would be verboten. So when we were on 5FM, when I was on 5FM, it was like a golden rule. You don't mention other radio stations because the situation was they were on the same playing fields. So 5FM, 94.7, neck and neck in terms of audience, in terms of the target audience, in terms of success, targets, accomplishments, history, just on the same in the same game, in the same competition. So you don't mention the competition. It's just stupid to do that. And I'll never forget this incident. 5FM had this weird thing every year. And myself and Gareth and Tabo, the morning show guys, we're the only ones who just thought it was stupid. 5FM used to put together a cycling team to take part in the 94.7 Cycle Challenge. And they would talk about it on air, and the listeners would hear about it, and they were publicizing 94.7 without. Surely they realized it, but they didn't. I don't know. They didn't seem to care. Somebody sent out an email just mentioning, "Oh, by the way, we're all we're having a meeting tomorrow to discuss the 94.7. Please come if you want to race." And I'll never forget. My one colleague, Tabo, wrote something sarcastic. Oh, why don't we all just wear 94.7 t-shirts or he made some comment like this. And the one other colleague got upset and she wrote, listen, I'm just getting off my ass, getting some exercise, yada, yada, yada. And then there was an incident. I love these stories. I hope you like the story. I'll never forget this. Tabo and I are in the coffee room outside the studio. And the one guy, he comes in and suddenly just explodes. Just explodes. And it was the day after the whole email incident. You guys think that the way you do radio is the only way to do radio, and you arrogant, and carries on and on. And I don't deal with these situations very well. I always get taken by surprise and I don't know how to react. So I just kept quiet. I didn't say anything. I think I was in shock. I thought to myself, what the hell are you on about? We're doing the breakfast show. We got 4 times more listeners than Mark Gilman when he did the breakfast show. 5FM listenership had more than doubled from like barely 1 million to 2.5 million. What you on about? We obviously do know what we're talking about. And the biggest joke is that we weren't pioneers or radical, or we didn't reinvent anything. We didn't do anything amazing. We just stuck to basic radio concepts, just rules of just basic stuff. You can't reinvent the wheel. They were trying to reinvent the wheel. Anyway, look, 7 years later, 5FM's listenership is like barely. I think it's barely on 700,000. But anyway, Schadenfreude, I won't carry on. I just thought I would just, so where was I? So the reason why I feel free to mention, I think it's fine, I could talk about Mac G and Gareth Clifford. They're in a different league, man. I've got my little podcast. Whoever listens to me probably also listens to Gareth Cliff. But whoever listens to me has never heard of Mac G and vice versa. Mac G is got... I'll never, ever, ever, ever have as many listeners as Mac G. Or Gareth Cliff for that matter. So we in different competitions. Different competitions. And here's the other interesting thing. Once you have a podcast listener, once you are listening to me, unless I do something radically, radically bad, you more or less will carry on listening to me. Even though I've mentioned Mac G and I've mentioned Gareth Cliff, you might go and investigate and listen to them. And look, maybe I'll lose you, but maybe you'll come. The point is, it's different worlds, different markets, different realities. Gareth Cliff sees his world in some. He's like a little bit right wing. Mac G appeals to the young black kind of South Africans audience. It's 3 different worlds, basically 3 different worlds. That's the way I see it. Anyway, I hope to God I haven't bored you to death with this thing. But where was I? Oh, going back to the whole thing with the blood in the backside. The blood in the backside. So I'm going to phone the gastroenterologist in a moment, make an appointment, have a colonoscopy, and why am I telling you about this? Because it's on my mind. I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit worried, and I thought to myself, I wouldn't be authentic and truthful if I didn't bring it up. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. So I'm going to hopefully have a colonoscopy. Today's Thursday. I don't know. Get it sorted out. Get it seen to. It was so funny. What a Bernice. Bernice started saying, I'll give you permission. You can have the colonoscopy. You know, I said, I'm not telling you this to get permission. I'm having the colonoscopy. Oh, anyway, that was funny. That was. I told her the whole story. Yeah, it sounds like you should have a colonoscopy. I'm not asking you your medical advice. The death. Somebody wrote a book. I forgot his name. The Death of Expertise. And I've mentioned this before. And this is one of the big problems around the world. Because of social media, because of the internet, the death of expertise has happened. The concept of expertise has been disrespected, ignored, tossed out the window, and quite frankly, insulted. There are people who are experts, and you need to respect them. And just respect expertise. You're not an expert. You might be an expert at what you do. You're not an expert on everything. So I'm going to go to the gastroenterologist. Okay. So we'll keep this. We'll monitor the situation.